Let's talk about an uncomfortable question that always shows up sooner or later on almost every video I ever post. Do true crime documentaries teach people how to get away with murder? But I think what people really mean is something heavier than that. Are we accidentally running a training program? Are we leaving breadcrumbs? Are we taking people who are already broken, already fantasizing, already rehearsing things in their heads, and handing them a syllabus? And if the answer is even a little bit yes, then what does that say about me? About this channel? About you sitting there watching this? About the entire true crime ecosystem that has turned murder into playlists, thumbnails, and 12-part docuseries with orchestral scores? Because this isn't just some abstract moral question. This conversation keeps coming back over and over again. All right, super quick, before I go any further, welcome to Breakfast Cereal. I'm Josh. If you're new here, hey, welcome. This series is basically just me asking a lot of questions. Some of them are uncomfortable, some are kind of dark, and some are probably a little weird. You've probably got questions like that too. It's probably why you clicked. See, the series isn't just about the video, though. A huge part of it lives down in the comments. I read them, and I get ideas from them. I genuinely want to know what you think. So jump in and add to the conversation. And if you end up liking this one, hit subscribe and join the other cornflakes, as I like to call them. It's quickly becoming a great community around here, and the conversation is always interesting. Okay, so before I talk about true crime, let's set the stage with something else. Violent video games. This argument has been around so long, it's basically a fossil. Doom. Mortal Kombat, my personal favorite. Grand Theft Auto. Call of Duty. Every few years after a mass shooting, some politician dusts it off, waves it around, and acts like they've just discovered fire. And hey, I'm sure a lot of you are guilty of doing some very disturbing things in GTA. I know I have. I used to go into the hospital and gun down patients. Toss the odd Molotov cocktail. Jesus, what the hell is wrong with me? Well, you know what? Apparently, nothing. Look at this chart. Violent crime has dropped. Over the same decades, video games became more graphic, more immersive, more widespread. In Japan, has some of the most violent video games on Earth. It also has one of the lowest violent crime rates on Earth. But then again, you could also buy used panties in a vending machine there, so who the fuck knows about Japan? Anyway, if the question is, does exposure to fictional violence turn normal people into killers? The answer is very clearly no. I'm not about to go on a rampage at my local hospital. Don't worry. But, that's not actually the question we're asking here, is it? Because true crime isn't fictional violence. The clue's in the name. It's procedural, it's real, hence the whole true part of true crime. It's grounded in how things actually happened. It's not press X to stab, it's timelines, methods, mistakes, evidence, psychology, escalation patterns. True crime doesn't just show violence, it explains it. An explanation is where things get a little dicey. Because humans learn through stories. Always have, always will. We learn how to behave, how to think, how to imagine ourselves through narrative modeling. It's not controversial, that's just basic psychology. Monkey see, monkey do. Pretty sure that was Freud, right? But the question becomes, who is doing the learning and what are they learning? So before we jump to modern true crime, I want to rewind to one of the earliest moral panics about media and violence that actually stuck. Columbine. After the shooting in 1999, the cultural response was, let's say, chaotic. People were desperate to find something to blame that wasn't guns, wasn't bullying culture, wasn't mental health infrastructure or societal neglect. And so they went after trench coats? Well, yeah, but they also villainized music, specifically this guy, Marilyn Manson. The idea was simple and comforting. Hey, if we can blame music, and specifically him, we don't have to look at systems. Marilyn Manson became a stand-in for everything parents didn't understand. Shock, rage, nihilism, transgression, darkness, packaged as entertainment. Remember the whole idea he took out a rib? If you've seen Bowling for Columbine, it's talked about extensively there. Except, hold on. One problem. The Columbine shooters weren't even fans. They didn't even listen to Marilyn Manson. That's been confirmed pretty much. Listen to Rammstein, not Manson. Manson himself later said something that still sticks with me and a lot of people, honestly.
What would you say to them if they were here right now?
I wouldn't say a single word to them. I would listen to what they have to say, and that's what no one did.
That line gets quoted a lot, but it matters here because it highlights the real issue. The problem wasn't influence, it was identification. Those boys weren't copying lyrics. They were constructing an identity. One that felt powerful, transgressive, finally visible. And that's the first crack where this conversation starts to get interesting. Modern true crime is obsessed with forensics, DNA, cell phone pings, surveillance footage, license plate readers, touch DNA, geofence warrants, digital exhaust. We love this stuff. We love watching a case fall apart because someone forgot one tiny thing, one camera, one ping, one fiber, one hair. There's something deeply satisfying about it. The idea that science eventually wins, that order reasserts itself, that the system works. But step back for a second and look at what that actually means narratively. A huge percentage of true crime content is structured like this. Here's what the killer did. Here's how clever they thought they were. And here's the specific mistake that brought them down. Over and over again, rinse, repeat. Which means that for the average viewer, it functions as reassurance. But for a very specific kind of viewer, it can function as a checklist. There's another way people learn. Failure. In most professions, the fastest way to learn is by studying failures. Plane crashes, medical errors, engineering disasters. We literally publish reports titled, "What Went Wrong?" True crime does the same thing, except instead of engines or surgeries, it's murder. And again, for almost everyone, this is just intellectual curiosity. Morbid, maybe, yeah, sure, whatever, but, harmless. But imagine someone who's already fantasizing, already rehearsing and imagining these things. They're imagining themselves as smarter than the people who got caught. Now imagine them watching documentary after documentary that essentially carefully explains things like, hey, don't bring your phone, don't leave digital trails, don't talk to police, don't insert yourself into the investigation, don't keep souvenirs, don't trust accomplices, don't write letters, don't underestimate DNA. That's not a how-to guide, but it is a what not to do guide. And psychologically, that distinction matters less than we'd like to admit. It's where true crime fundamentally diverges from fictional violence. Because a movie doesn't tell you which brand of gloves leaves fewer fibers. A video game doesn't explain how long DNA lasts under specific environmental conditions. A slasher film doesn't pause to talk about cell tower pings, camera blind spots, or how evidence degrades over time. But true crime does. And it does it because accuracy is the point. The problem is, accuracy doesn't know who's watching. And this is something that serial offenders themselves have admitted. BTK didn't just follow his own case, he followed other cases. Israel Keys studied serial killers, how people were caught and how they weren't. Ted Bundy adjusted his behavior based on media coverage. But then again, I guess, counterpoint. What about counterpoint? This guy. Rex Heuermann, the alleged Long Island killer. Okay, yeah, no. His trial has yet to begin when I'm shooting this. So far, I mean, the guy hasn't been convicted of anything. But, I mean, it doesn't look good. Let me just say this. If true crime teaches serial killers what not to do, this guy obviously didn't watch much. Yes, sure, okay, it took the cops ages to track him down as the suspect, but once he was arrested, they literally found heaps and heaps of evidence in his own family home. Over 300 firearms in a vault in his basement, only a third of which were registered. Over 350 electronic devices, computers, hard drives, and phones. Analysis of these devices revealed searches for victims and their families. A large doll encased in glass and a framed portrait of a woman with a bruised face. Okay, fine, whatever. I mean, not incriminating in a court of law, but fucking weird, right? But get this, they even found a Word document on his computer that they've been calling the blueprint document. Basically, a detailed plan for crimes. It included reminders to clean up bodies and destroy evidence, to get sleep before hunt, and to have a story set. I'm sorry, but if you're a serial killer, do you really need a checklist to remind you to have an alibi? Or to destroy evidence? I mean, how dumb could you possibly be? Well, good thing I went over my checklist here. I was about to take all this evidence to my office to show my architect buddies. But then my handy checklist reminded me to destroy it. Whew, that was a close one. But whatever, dumb Rex aside, this brings us to the most uncomfortable question in this entire conversation. Where do we draw the line? I don't think the answer is stop making true crime, and I don't think the answer is pretend there is no risk. The line probably lives somewhere in framing, in focus, in avoiding unnecessary procedural detail when it adds nothing but spectacle. It's not romanticizing intelligence, control, or elusiveness, and not presenting killers as misunderstood anti-heroes. And in being honest with ourselves about why certain stories sell better than others. Because if we're gonna talk about responsibility, it doesn't just belong to the viewers or offenders, it belongs to creators too, including me. I mean, I've tried my best on this channel not to romanticize any of these guys. I mean, I've been accused of adding inappropriate levity. I disagree. I mean, I don't put these guys on a pedestal. I don't talk about them like they're criminal mastermind geniuses who avoid detection or outsmarted the cops. I don't linger on details of horrific crimes. I don't rubberneck on crime scene photos. I mean, when I do make jokes, especially in my other style of content, the couch content, it's always at the expense of the killer, knocking them off any pedestal that a lot of other content out there, hopefully unintentionally, puts them on. I might call Joel Rifkin a fucking moron. So what? He is. I might have said Henry Lee Lucas was afraid of a toothbrush. Yeah, well, I mean, look at him. But I will admit, I am interested in the why of it all. So are true crime documentaries dangerous? Not inherently. Are they irresponsible? Sometimes. Especially when they confuse explanation with admiration. When they don't add anything new to the conversation. When they just regurgitate the same story we've heard a million times. Especially when they forget that somewhere out there, someone is watching not to understand, but to imagine. And the scariest part, you can't always tell the difference from the outside. All right. I'm curious where you land on this. I mean, you're here watching this piece of true crime content, right? But yeah, where do you draw the line? Because the answer says a lot about what kind of culture we're building and who might be learning from it.